Merry Christmas and Happy New Year, everyone. However, this time, instead of giving you a delightful stocking stuffer, I'm going to have to give you a large piece of coal. Today's topic is Macross FB7. So, what exactly is this? It begins with Ozma and Bobby wondering what happened to Macross 7, and more importantly, what happened to Firebomber. Then a bird creature shows up out of nowhere and delivers videotapes to them. So with help from Luca, they hook up old antique video equipment, and they, along with Cheryl and Ranka, and various others, sit in Ozma's apartment and watch a lame-ass recap of Macross 7. I'm not joking. You're watching characters from Macross Frontier watch Macross 7. And apart from some asides where the bird creature delivers more and more videotapes, and the final part where Cheryl and Ranka sing Firebomber songs, this makes up a majority of the film's runtime. Actually, to be more specific, they're really only watching highlights of Macross 7. And as somebody that doesn't like Macross 7, even I know that condensing 50 episodes is kind of a no-no. In fact, guys, I'm just gonna say this. If you want to know the story of Macross 7 for yourself, just watch the show. I know some of you out there are probably shocked that I'm saying that, but despite Macross 7's insufferable length, painful repetition, glacial pace, suspenseless, no surprises story, tepid action, uninspired art and mech designs, and less than stellar soundtrack, at least, it was telling a story. In Macross FB7, you are watching characters from Frontier sitting on their asses watching Macross 7. In fact, I'm not even sure when in Macross Frontier this is supposed to be taking place. I guess it would make sense to take place during the TV series when there's low periods of no action. Or it could take place during the movie continuity, in between False Songstress and Wings of Goodbye. But in either case, where is Alto? He's not in this special at all. I never saw him once. As I understand it, FB7 was created to get more viewers interested in Macross 7, because several months before this release, the Macross 7 Blu-ray box sets were released. And FB7 could have been a means to sell more box sets. So yeah, if this thing really was just a commercial to get modern audiences more interested in Macross 7, this is really low effort. I don't know what else to say about this. If you're a fan of Macross 7, and I know plenty of you out there are, you won't even like this. And if you hate Macross 7, then I know you won't like this. So yeah, I can't believe I'm saying this. For its many problems, just watch Macross 7 instead. Well, okay, this video's a little too short. Before I go, I want to do something real quick. While we wait for the next Macross entry to be made by Sunrise, I'm going to rank each entry from worst to best. And I'm only going to be ranking the anime installments. I have not played any of the video games, and I have not read any of the manga or novels, simply because they haven't been released in the West yet. But anyway, at number 19, at the very bottom, Macross FB7, for the reasons I just listed. Number 18, Macross 7 Plus. A couple of meaningless shorts about how Guvava came to be where he is, and how Gelpinich took over this man's body. Number 17, Macross Dynamite 7. The worst of the Macross OVAs, and one that somehow manages to be duller than the actual TV series. Featuring a plot about whaling, or space whaling in this case, which made me want to watch Star Trek 4 instead. Number 16, Macross 7 Encore. An OVA that has 3 episodes of Macross 7 that take place somewhere between episodes 39 and 42 of the TV series that are, for the most part, largely forgettable. I mean, the episode with the TV special that talks about Basara's past, or what's known of it, is somewhat interesting, but on the whole, I can't be bothered to watch this one again. Number 15, the Macross 7 TV series. Okay, I realize I am really beating up on Macross 7 right now, but do keep watching, there is something you might find surprising. I still stand by all of my criticisms of the TV series, but you know, the fact that I told you to watch this over the condensing that's in Macross FB7, I think kind of shows that I don't really harbor as much hatred for this show as I used to. I still don't like it at all, but there's so much worse out there. And to be fair, the basic concept of Macross 7 is pretty interesting. And the whole idea of the Proto-Devlin as villains I actually kind of liked. I just didn't like their designs, among other things. To my shame, I didn't mention those in any of my videos, but what can you do? Well, rest easy, Macross 7 TV series. You are no longer the very worst of the franchise. Number 14, the Macross Delta TV series. It's a series that actually started off pretty okay for the first 10 or 11 episodes, but went downhill very fast in its second half. From the soundtrack that goes from, that was alright to, not that great, to its lame-ass ending, or non-ending rather. This is one that I can really only recommend to diehard completionists. Number 13, Macross Delta, Passionate Water Kyurei. The first of the two-part theatrical retelling is really just an overly condensed version of the TV series. Despite a lot of the changes, it just covers a lot of the same ground, and it's incredibly boring. Okay, we are now moving on to greener pastures in terms of Macross installments, I promise. Number 12, Macross 2 Lovers Again. Now this is another one where, looking back on it and even rewatching parts of it, this one really isn't all that bad. I still have my problems with it, and a lot of what I talked about still stands, but I do understand why it has its fans. It's well animated, even if I thought the presentation could have been a bit better, especially when compared to other OVAs like Gunbuster. The story is actually unique for Macross, involving government cover-ups, the dangers of silencing good press when real danger is at hand, all in a story that is, in some ways, a retelling of Roman Holiday. I'm fine with that. Mobile Suit Gundam Unicorn did something similar. Yes, the music could have been better and the ending is rather lackluster. I've developed some affection for this one. It's just taken me some time. Number 11, Macross Flashback 2012. A short, sweet, and painfully nostalgic look at the Macross franchise, as told in the early 80s. Sure, this basically functions as a clip compilation with music from the series, but what makes it all worth it is the new animation where the Mega Road 1 takes off. As short and as sweet as it is, I really like it. Number 10, Macross 7, The Galaxy is Calling Me. Yes, an entry in Macross 7 really is this high, and here's why. Yes, I snarkily stated in my main video that you shouldn't place a bad episode before a good movie, because this short played before Macross Plus Movie Edition, but overall, it is the best thing to come out of Macross 7 in my opinion. It's beautifully animated, it's legitimately exciting, it was one of the few times where I actually didn't mind some of Firebomber, and dare I say it, I actually kind of liked Basara in this episode. In the TV series, despite having some good moments sprinkled here and there, such as showing concern for his band members, or actually lending a helping hand in some cases, he just still came off to me as a largely uncooperative prick. In the series, he doesn't have any real development. He doesn't change in any way. I'm not saying it has to be grand or melodramatic, but something that shows him growing up a little. But no, we never see any of that. For a series that goes on for over 50 episodes, that gets incredibly boring. But strangely enough, in Macross 7, The Galaxy is Calling Me, I didn't mind him at all. From showing genuine concern to the kid in his care, and his moments with Emilia, in which he shows encouragement, really made me wish we had more of this Basara in the TV series. That, combined with better series writing and pacing, shortened the length by about 15 episodes or so to cut out the filler, and maybe not overuse Planet Dance so much, Macross 7 probably could have been something pretty good. Maybe not a masterpiece, but decent. But yes, I do recommend Macross 7 The Galaxy is Calling Me. Very much so. Number 9, Macross Frontier Labyrinth of Time. It's true, this one is basically a long music video, but it's such an enjoyable one. I don't know if it'll make good on its tease of us ever seeing Alto again, but it's just wonderful seeing these characters again, and of course enjoying bitchin' music by Yoko Kanno. Number 8, Macross Delta Zettai Live. This is what the Macross Delta TV series should have been from the start. Yeah, get rid of that whole mind control crap that was just a lamer version of what was done in Frontier. Give us something that connects back to more Macross history. It isn't perfect though. I stated before that it might have done better as an OVA with about 4 to 5 episodes to really flesh things out more. And while it's not a continuation of the TV series, but rather the movie Passionate Water Kyurei, it still gives the series a proper conclusion. Zettai Live still earns a very high recommendation from me. Also, make sure you bring plenty of tissues. Number 7, Macross Plus. Although I would have liked to have been more invested in the principal 3 characters than I was, this is still a damn good OVA, in pretty much every respect imaginable. And anybody who is just a serious fan of anime should check this one out, just so they can say that they've seen it, regardless of whether they're a Macross fan or not. As to whether or not I prefer the OVA or the movie version, well, I like both for different reasons. It depends on what mood I'm in. Number 6, Macross Zero, my all-time favorite of the Macross OVAs. Not only do I love the characters, especially the return of the classic one, Roy Fokker, I like it how it takes place during events in Macross history we haven't seen before, the Unification Wars, and just what a dirty business that was. It was also just a really good time after 7 to take a break from the whole music band idol formula. Yes, I know Sarah Noma is the idol of this series, but I'm talking about in a more concert, selling albums, live performances on stage kind of thing. While the music itself could have been better in certain respects, it overall works in this series. And animation-wise, for the most part, it still holds up. with the CG animation looking like it gets better as the series progresses. Number 5, Macross Frontier: The False Songstress. Now this first part in the 2-part theatrical retelling of Macross Frontier is at this position because of the TV series and the movies in Macross Frontier. This is kind of the weakest. The first third of this movie does really function as more of a recap of the TV series, and it is a bit tedious. But after that, it gets more and more engaging as it goes along. And for reasons I'll get into in just a moment, this, combined with the movie Wings of Goodbye, tells the story of Macross Frontier just a little better than the TV series. Number 4, Super Dimension Fortress Macross. Despite whatever shortcomings I have with the original series, from its pacing problems, its dated animation, which, to be fair, is not really the fault of the creatives, it was a hellish production, the action climax being used too soon, and I do understand why that happened, and the ending that left me a little cold, Super Dimension Fortress Macross is still, in every sense, a classic, and its storytelling was strong enough to overcome whatever issues I have with it. When you're introduced to characters like Hikaru, Min-Mei, Misa, Roy, Claudia, Captain Global, and others, you're not likely to forget them. And even for its low budget, the action was exciting, and the story is full of interesting twists and turns. But if you haven't seen SDF Macross, I do recommend you search it out by any means possible, because it will likely never see an official release on Blu-ray here in the United States, for reasons I'll get into in just a moment. Number 3, the Macross Frontier TV series. Now, I was already a Macross fan before I ever saw this, but Macross Frontier cemented my love for the franchise. From its engaging story with a pace that never overstays its welcome, superb combat sequences, memorable characters, superb digital animation, and of course music from the great Yoko Kanno, Macross Frontier is as exciting now as when I first watched it. This one holds a lot of sentimental value for me, because Frontier was a series I really bonded with my little sister over. And yes, she was just as heartbroken at episode 20 as much as everybody else. Number 2, Macross Frontier: The Wings of Goodbye. Now, as much as I love the Macross Frontier TV series, Wings of Goodbye is where I felt Frontier really peaked. In fact, combined with The False Songstress, I feel it told the story just a little bit better than the TV series. Here's why. I withheld judgment of the series until I watched the movies, and I'm glad I did. All the shortcomings that I mentioned in my False Songstress video and in this video, it just seemed to me that it was a case where the creators looked at the show and said, that was good, but what can we do better with the movies? Yes, the TV series had more development of the world and side characters in other areas, but I just felt that in the show, apart from Michael's death, there seemed to be a lack of a real strong emotional push, especially at the end. I didn't feel quite as much sympathy for the Vajra as I did in the films, and admittedly, I was annoyed by the lack of resolution of the love triangle at the end. Look, I love the TV show. I really like it. I watch it a lot. But Kawamori and company did such a damn good job with these movies. I like that we have more about Alto's relationship and similarities with Cheryl. I like that Alto gets more sympathy for the Vajra from Ranka. I love making Cheryl more involved with the conspiracy to take over the Vajra. We have awesome battles, and last but certainly not least, the punch-in-the-gut ending where Alto chooses Cheryl but can't be with her. It hurts, but it hurts so good. I was actually gobsmacked that the movies turned out so well, especially Wings of Goodbye. I thought it couldn't get any better than the TV series, but I was wrong, in a good way. Now, as much as I love Wings of Goodbye, as much as I love Macross Frontier, as much as I consider Frontier to be my all-time favorite entry, in terms of having multiple installments, my all-time favorite thing in all of Macross is Do You Remember Love? Now, are there things that the TV series does better than this film? Certainly, but this alternate theatrical retelling of the TV series was my introduction to all of Macross. I first saw it when I was staying in Japan, and I saw it with the awful English dub, and I was still able to get into it. Even though I saw this first instead of the TV show, I still bought the setting, the stakes, the characters, and the use of music in combat. I also liked Hikaru more here than in the TV show, but what can you do? I also thought that the Zentradi and Meltrandi designs were more inspired as well. Although I still feel that Macross Frontier had the best soundtrack overall, Kentaro Hanida's music for both SDF Macross and this movie is rousing, romantic, and painfully nostalgic, and for this movie, it works with the animation to capture the era of 80s anime. You will never see anything like this ever again. Yes, you can say that for a lot of other anime during that period, and I know that sounds rather sad, but what can you do? Overall, the film has aged very well and deserves all the nostalgic love it can get. Do You Remember Love is not only my favorite thing in all of Macross, it's also one of my all-time favorite movies. I absolutely recommend you seek this out in any way you can. And sadly, it is one that will never see a release legally here in the West, or for that matter, around the rest of the world except Japan due to licensing restrictions. This film and the original Super Dimension Fortress Macross TV series is prohibited from distribution everywhere else around the world except Japan due to the licensing agreement between Harmony Gold and Big West to release the Macross sequels legally in the West, but allow Harmony Gold to hold on to characters, designs, and concepts from Super Dimension Fortress Macross for their Go Nowhere Do Nothing Robotech franchise. To which I say, Harmony Gold,
fuck you!